Plan today, thrive tomorrow. We're going to do this in bite-sized chunks. And in the next couple of minutes, first we're going to talk about the 50-30-20 rule. I've been talking about budgeting. I couldn't figure out where to start except to give you perspective. 50-30-20. That's basically saying 50% goes to needs, 30% wants, 20% savings, etc. Now, the order of importance for number one, needs, is obvious, but 50% needs is a great guideline, 30% wants, 20%. So that's what we're going to tackle today. Let's start out with some gratitude to the fact that we're even getting to talk about financial responsibility. That means we're healthy. That means we have a supportive structure in ourselves. It means we're moving forward. And this is the number one thing, is understand this is, like anything else, the first step. And I just watched, was it 6888, the movie? And she quotes an age-old cliche, which is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And we're going to work through the bites. Be encouraged, not discouraged. We're simply planning today to thrive tomorrow, but we have to take action now. Now, 50-30-20, like everything else, talk to an expert. I am a life expert. I am not certified, but I am certainly qualified. I am not an investment advisor. I'm a person that has lived to create investments. I'm not a financial planner. I'm simply a person who has planned his whole life. From the time I was 18 in college, sort of planning. The need then was, well, obvious. The want then was everything. And the savings were non-existent because you were going to get hopefully a job and you'd start to make money versus living off of next to nothing. So I say all that because 50-30-20 is just a broad rule to give us somewhere to start. And I say that for this reason. First of all, the 50% need, or 45 or 55, I'm going to be specific, not my rule, came from ChatGPT, resonated with me, not just because it rhymes. It started with ChatGPT for this reason. 50% gives you some guideline as to what your initial accommodations should be. Depending on your situation, you might have to put 90% or 100% towards your needs if you define them correctly. What I have found is that so many people do not have perspective at any age. I can't speak to the ultra rich, no idea. Can't speak to the rich, no idea. I can tell you that we all have control from day one on what it is that we can be doing. For example, when you buy a house, they say that it shouldn't exceed, from a mortgage standpoint, used to be you couldn't exceed 30% of your income. So that's a start right there. So your needs are your home, which includes everything in the home. Same thing with rent. Assuming that you can live within that, then you have a situation where you can remain the 50% in other categories. So we're going to pull out a sheet of paper. I'll wait. Not a phone. Sheet of paper. You need to feel it. Now, that is not to say that there are not a lot of online tools. There are a plethora of resources out there, but for now, you have to feel it. So get out a sheet of paper and put 50% needs, rent, utilities, groceries, nutrition, fitness, which doesn't have to cost a dime. But if you plan these things first, let's just start there. So you take your income after tax, multiply it by 50%. Easy peasy. Your paycheck combined is $1,000. Try to find where 50% or 500 is I'm just doing that for easy math. That is your need. Now, wants and savings, depending where you are. Wants have a very broad spectrum. So if needs are your shelter and your food. Wants are all those things that Instagram is trying to convince you you need to have. It's not a need, it's a want. It is a want. Is it going to transform your life tomorrow? Transform your life. Is it going to transform your life in a week? If you waited 48 hours for that impulse buy, would you even care that you didn't get it? Or when it comes in, do you say to yourself, did I really want this? Did I really want this? There are very few things of material substance that are more important at most stages of our life than starting to save, than starting to feel the financial freedom. Material goods, and don't get me wrong, I'm a gadget guy. Drones, electronics, battery, you name it, I had it, or have it, or it's on order, because that's within my allowance, my tolerable allowance. And I'm also retired, so I can pretty much look at what I've got. I own the home, my wants, I have pretty good nutrition, etc. So we need sometimes to take a look, as I said at the very beginning, plan today, thrive tomorrow. What things do we want that we need, right? I just talked about 50% needs, but wants are a gray area, correct? So one thing you can do is put wants aside. Once you get needs out of the way and you start to calibrate, you may not be able on your needs to calibrate right now. Why? Because you may have a long-term rent. And then the things you can do are look next time. You may be living with your parents. So that is one want, but you might say, I have a need to go out on my own. Very common, folks who have their disposable income because they move in with family or whatever, forget that this is an opportunity to store and save for your goals. So wants and savings, those are a trade-off. You control the needs and you have wants and then you have savings. So I'm going to do it the other way. I'm going to say if your needs are met, then you should probably put the rest, for the most part, toward your own savings goals, for an emergency fund, or if you have debt, what a great way, which we'll talk about another time. Again, you can look all this up. All I'm giving you is context. Nothing secret here. Nothing secret here. Not a certified financial. I'm not going to quote the disclaimers. Bottom line is this. There is a balancing act between savings and wants. One is going to take from the other, and it just depends where you are. If you're in a situation where you have no credit card debt, no student loans, nothing that is very expensive, if you plan today, you can thrive tomorrow because, and we'll get into this in the future, you can then say every penny I put towards paying off any loans that I have and or saving for the future that gives me peace of mind. And that is very personal. Very personal is how you feel. Then in my opinion, wants would come last within balance. They would come last within balance. However, that is not what all these 50, 30, 20. So we're going to stick with 50% for needs, and we're going to split the other 50% wants and savings, etc. I'm going to reiterate, I understand it can sound like I don't want to say a broken record, because you don't know what a record is probably. But if you do, I don't want to sound like a broken record. And what that means is, the joke is, it's a broken record and that it keeps repeating. And Stephen Wright, a comedian, very dry wit, he says, I was learning to speak Spanish in my sleep. And every night I was using headsets. I put in the headsets and I would play my course in my head. And he said, unfortunately, it skipped. And all I can say in Spanish is words that I stutter, or stammer. So the point is that the broken record that you're hearing here is only meant to encourage and reinforce what it is you need to do to give you some confidence. You need to recognize wherever you are, it's already too late or never too late. We can't deal with what's already too late no matter where we are. Even if we get up and we say, we want to lose weight, we did not gain that weight overnight, and we're not going to lose that weight overnight. We're not going to get out of debt overnight if that's where we are. But we can start today, and I can assure you that if you're wondering, where did my money go? And you start tracking it, what's tracked is improved. What's measured is improved. Any way you look at it. So we're going to do the same thing with easy money. Not earning easy money, money that you are managing. So again, 50% needs. That you are going to have to adjust. If you're at 100% needs, we need to go through how to do that. Wants and savings are based on your own position. I know I'm repeating myself. I get it, but I want it to resonate. The point is that you might get more satisfaction if you're trying to change your station in life or where you live or whatever, saying, I'm going to delay gratification. I'm going to put everything into savings, but what I am going to treat myself is to a movie and a date night, and that is it. And from there, I'm going to defer to plan today, to thrive tomorrow by saving as much as I can. And saving can also mean, of course, paying off debt that you have. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling anxious, we all are, because we don't know where there's this ether where a check disappears. We're going to do an anatomy of a paycheck. But for today, that's the focus. 50, 30-ish, 20-ish. 50, 30th, 20-ish, 50, 30, 20, 30, 20. Because you'll have to adapt, and we'll look at that together. Okay, have a great week. Remember, we should be grateful that we have an opportunity to even look at the future with great health, and look at the fact that whatever we had before, as we're in the holidays, now's the time to take responsibility, not throw up your hands and feel like getting that impulse buy is what's going to make a difference in your life, because it'll only make a difference till the checkout counter. When you get home and you want to do something else and it's gone, you're going to want to take control, and we're going to do that together. Hi friends, you're going to hear a whole lecture, or I'm going to espouse some new rules that should be refreshing. But while we're doing that, let's have a refreshing game of Beat Saber as we do it. As we are knocking out the blocks, we are slicing expenses, we are building strength, we are building endorphins, we're having fun, we're socializing. We are going to slice and dice and do all the things we are doing right now in Beat Saber to recognize it can be a metaphor for our life as it relates to not only the metaverse, which is virtual reality, your reality. Let's go to it.